Thank you. Thank you for everyone joining us this afternoon. It's been a pretty hectic week so far, and I'm glad that I'm here to share some of my teachings and knowledge. And I was really speaking with Julie last year on contacting Joel on the process I was taking with one of the students with academic violation, where, you know what, it really broaden my perspective on dealing with these kind of situations from a holistic standpoint. And what I did, I'm going to explain that some people know who I am, but I'll definitely introduce myself. Is that my name is Joseph Duncan. I am a contract lecturer for Lakehead University. I've been teaching. I'm still a rookie for the last 2 years. And part of that process was coming here to Lakehead University and doing the programs such as land relations course. My background history, I'm from the indigenous nation of Anishinaabe Nation. I'm an indigenous person from Musqueam First Nation. Growing up and going back each summer to my home community in Musqueam First Nation really introduced me and exposed me to a lot of the traditional teachings of restorative justice, especially when our First Nation community didn't have police officers. Police officers weren't stationed there, and the fact that how elders, community leaders, and family members really came together when something happened in the community and developed a plan for this individual person. Instead of using a formal Western punishment way of laying charges, it was more of a holistic approach. This is in the early 1990s, that when I was a kid, still in high school, but you know, viewing that, didn't fully understand the whole concept. It wasn't until shortly after where I decided, you know what, after high school, went to college to become a police officer and spent the next 14 years as a police officer, serving in the Anishinaabe Nation, where a lot of my work and working with the Crown attorneys involved a lot of punishment direction towards offenders, instead of more of a holistic approach on looking at why they caused the incident, the crime, the offense. And instead of looking at that, laying charges and forcing these individuals, offenders, to court to answer to these charges without looking at them inside. And throughout the years, it was like I got to work with Crown Prosecutor Rupert Ross on trying to establish a holistic healing circle in the community of Musqueam, where we ran a pilot project on healing circles with individuals, and that really broadened my perspective on the how Indigenous people approach holistic teachings and circles. After finishing my policing career, where injury ended my career, is that I fortunate enough to come to school at Lakehead University and finish my master's in social justice, where I also learned the academic portions of restorative justice. This, wait, let's see if, and that's a brief introduction of myself. What I'm here to present is Ooshih'toon, the restorative approach to breach academic integrity, and what I've been through, and with certain students, or a student, on handling this fragile situation, on dealing with this breach. There's me, and I think I already passed this. So the outcome objectives of the presentation to understand the core philosophy of Ooshih'toon restorative practices, which I'm going to talk about. What that means is, in Oji-Cree is repairing, fixing something that was damaged. Understanding these practices promote holistic accountability with respect, and instead of from a Western perspective, where the person dealing with it is more of a dominating factor, where pointing out punishment and other things that causes infraction. To explore how these practices can be integrated with any academic department. And that's something that I'm going to throw out to everyone else, where towards the end of the presentation is that, can this process be implemented in certain academic departments? Is that possible? Ultimately, the goal is of the Ooshih'toon restorative practices to reestablish trust and values with the student and school policy. And throughout my years of understanding what restorative justice is and studying restorative justice, is that the concept is, when you are dealing with the individual person, you have to develop a relationship, creating a safe environment for that individual, the student, on communication, eliminating any superior roles. And what I mean by that is that I'm the teacher, you're the student, I am, I'm in control of this situation. From a restorative standpoint, that's one of the classic challenges, that it has to be seen as an equal community. There's no superiority relationship to the student. We are seen as equal. Respect. Some of the set guidelines of respect is, you want to establish guidelines within the circle when you're talking. What I used was the 7 grandfather teachings: love for yourself, love for the program, love what you're doing, and respect, honesty, wisdom, bravery, and truth. And those are the main functions on developing communication and problem solution within the circle. I really avoided a lot of terminology on, I'm right, you're wrong, you're going to do this. I've really avoided a lot of those terms where, how can we work together on creating a solution on what happened. So those are the guidelines where it really helps guiding everyone's goals on to resolve this kind of issues where this student or students are dealing with. Coming in with that mindset, that really disarms, I found it disarms the individual person's mindset when they come in, where they've already armed themselves with excuses or blaming or something that, to avoid any consequences. So when you develop the 7 grandfather teachings in this restorative circle, you're speaking from the heart. You're, as a lecturer, when you're in there, you are sharing that these goals are meant for guidance throughout this sitting circle. The third one is responsibility. sharing responsibility. And with my experience, what I said before is that I'm right, you're wrong, this is how it's going to be done. It's a reflection process with everyone, even as the instructor. For myself, is that how could I have done this to prevent you from of doing this violation, academic violation? And that really gets the student looking and searching within themselves, instead of here's the piece of paper, here's the allegation, the violation, and what you did wrong. Throughout my teachings, that's really a wrong way of confronting the situation. It's a community, it's a holistic manner how we're dealing with it. So the responsibility also looks at how this affects everyone, the class, the teacher, the manager at academic violations, and the school policy too. The responsibility, how can we fix this? How can we move forward from this and learn from this? So the fourth step is repair, accepting solutions, not ways of punishment, but learning, accept how can we learn from this? How can we both, as an instructor and student, learn from this and move on? Move on where you as a student are going to fix the solution with my help or direction, and that in the full circle, that ultimately things are going to come to a solution of repairing the allegation or what occurred, providing if they understand and are open to creating this dialogue within the circle, sharing circle. My experience dealing with going into sharing circles and is that a high volume of 90% or more, where young people make poor decisions when they're stressed, and especially with first-year students, and they come into this academic environment where they're stressed and away from home. We as educators understand that, and the fact that, yeah, when I dealt with the situation, I was open-minded and really supportive in a way where I've made the student look from inside what they did wrong, instead of me pointing from the outside saying, look, this is what the offense is, the violation of the academic policy, but making them look from within themselves. And I think that's one of the powerful goals of this process, of the restorative circle process. And so taking this example and really applying it in the real life circumstances, the Ooshih'toon restorative approach, a real life example is, I believe last semester, there was a student that did breach an academic violation, and I wasn't too sure how to go about it, but the process is you file the complaint with student academic portion, and you go file the paperwork. And when I did that, the student was a really good student. The student gave 110% in each lecture. And he really engaged himself in group discussions and gave it 110%. And I knew from dealing from a Western perspective on filling these forms that is this really going to be fixed? Is the student going to reflect and look at what the student did, and is that going to work? So what I did was, when I filled the forms to the academic services, it gave me some leeway where, you know what, I know if I follow this holistic process of dealing with this issue with the student, that the possibility of actually making it more impacted to the student would probably be a better approach. So I called the student and we arranged a meeting at the office at the Lakehead department, and we sat down, and the student, a part of the teachings was taught during the semester was the 7 grandfather teachings, how we as a community of the class, we're going to follow these teachings of respect, love for yourself, love for the program, and so on. So when the student came, I smudged the room. So when the student came in and he smelled the sweet grass, he understood that how important it was to follow these teachings. I smudged myself, and I asked if the student was comfortable smudging himself too, and he agreed and he wanted to do it, and that really developed the strong foundation of following the guidelines of the 7 grandfather teachings. And ultimately, what I said before, I didn't come across as a superior individual in control, is that I shared a lot of the teachings while we're start to talk about the allegation, the violation, and that I also kind of just made it that, you know what, as a youth, I also made mistakes. And that's part of the learning process. That's part of the cycle of learning. And that really, I believe, made the student comfortable, where I'm not coming from a very superior approach on dealing with this, is that we make mistakes. And to take responsibility, as we're discussing the allegations, that I kind of put this issue towards the student. What occurred was wrong, he said, and the student also went on to explain that he wasn't meant to be that way, and he wasn't given excuses, but he really confessed to what he did was wrong. And that's a really big step. And I reassured that, you know what, we all make mistakes as people. The important part is we learn from them. And it was really powerful. And the fact that, you know what, the students start to really understand what the violation, what he did, just not in the class, but representing Lakehead University. And there was this meeting lasted 20-25 minutes, but we developed a solution how to repair the circumstance, to resubmit the work and also in a timely fashion. And I gave the student, I asked the student how many days would be needed and to complete the work, and we both agreed within 2 days that the work he submitted would be redone. And the most powerful, I think, powerful part after 25 minutes, it wasn't, we felt good, we talked about it, and he was happy. And it wasn't the student walking out of the room upset or just mad at the system, how, you know, if we handled this in a different way, I don't know if this outcome would have been taken this approach. And when the student, just before the student left, he said, you know what, I thought you would be upset and mad at me for doing this. And you know what, I think that's a really powerful statement on the way this was brought about in a respectful, holistic way. And after we left, it was inside, I could see in his eyes that he felt good. And when he was talking about the violation, he was getting kind of choked up from what's inside. He knew internally what occurred was wrong. Instead of me telling him what occurred. And this student he's still an amazing student. And even though he's done, I have the highest respect for him. And you know what, we learn from these kind of circumstances. And we both left on good terms. And even though there was three-day exemption to hand in the work again, the student handed in, I think, within a day and a half. And you know what, it was really good work. And I was proud of him. So shortly after that, after all the paperwork went through, Joel got in contact with me or something like that. But I explained to Joel that the process I took and the reasoning why I took this approach, where I thought it would, I really believe it had a better impact than just going through the formal process of sending in the paperwork and you know, letting maybe the academic department deal with it. But we both left on good terms. I felt good, the student felt good. A lesson was learned in a holistic way. And you know what, and that's why I'm here to talk about today and present, and I think I did that. So if there's any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask. It was yeah.